In a sleepy little town, nestled between rolling hills and sprawling fields, three friends, David, John, and Cletus, were searching through the attic of an abandoned farmhouse. Cletus, a early southern farmer with a thick drawl and a heart as big as his tractor, had suggested they explore the place after hearing old legends about its haunted past. The farmhouse had been left untouched for decades, and as they sifted through dust-covered boxes, the sunlight streamed through the cracked windows, illuminating the forgotten treasures within. "Look at this!" David exclaimed, pulling out a stack of old VHS tapes. The labels were faded, but one tape caught his eye. The Chronicles of Craig. "Never heard of it," John said, his brow furrowing. "But it's got to be old, maybe a local production or something." "Let's watch it," Cletus suggested, slapping his knee excitedly. "I bet it's got some good old Southern charm." They hurried back to Cletus' farmhouse, where they set up an ancient VCR, the kind that hadn't been used in years. As the tape whirred to life, the screen flickered, revealing grainy footage of a dark room where a man in tattered clothes sat behind the desk. His eyes glowed with an unsettling intensity. "Welcome," he said, his voice smooth yet chilling. "I am Craig, the keeper of secrets and shadows." As the tape played on, the atmosphere in the room grew heavier. The man spoke of power, of the unseen forces that lie just beyond the veil of reality. He warned of those who would seek to harness such forces, warning that tampering with them could unleash chaos upon the world. The friends exchanged nervous glances, their amusement fading. Suddenly, the screen began to flicker violently, and Craig's figure seemed to shift and distort. "You have awakened me," he said, his voice echoing through the room, resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "Now I am free." Panic surged through David, John, and Cletus as the lights flickered and shadows deepened. The air thickened, charged with an unnatural energy. "Turn it off!" David shouted, fumbling to eject the tape. But it was too late. The damage was done. With a loud crack, the television screen shattered, showering the room in shards of glass. A dark mist poured from the screen, coiling like smoke as it twisted into a humanoid shape. Craig had emerged, his eyes glowing ominously, a grin stretching across his face. "You released me," he purred, stretching his arms as if savoring his newfound freedom. "Now, let's play a game." Cletus, ever the brave farmer, stepped forward. "You ain't gonna scare us, Craig. We're not afraid of you." "Oh, but you should be," Craig replied, his voice low and seductive. "I can see your fears, your darkest thoughts. All I need to do is whisper them, and they will become your reality." With a wave of his hand, the room darkened, and the shadows took form. David felt a cold sweat break out on his forehead as a manifestation of his deepest fear. A creature with elongated limbs and hollow eyes stalked towards him. John, on the other hand, found himself surrounded by echoes of his failures, visions of a life unlived. Cletus, however, stood resolute, gripping a pitchfork he had leaned against the wall. "You think you can scare me? I've seen worse in my horn." With a furious yell, Cletus charged at Craig, brandishing the pitchfork. In a swift motion, he thrust it toward the being, but it passed through Craig as if he were smoke. Craig's laughter echoed throughout the room, a sound both triumphant and sinister. "Bravery will not save you. You must learn the truth. Fear is merely a shadow of the mind." Craig taunted, weaving through the air. "Embrace it, and perhaps you will survive." David, desperate to break the spell, shouted, "Cletus, we have to fight back together." John, gathering his courage, nodded in agreement. "Let's show this bastard what we're made of." Cletus rallied. In unison, they focused on their fears, acknowledging them instead of running from them. As they did, the shadows that haunted them began to dissipate, weakened by their newfound strength. Craig's expression shifted from amusement to frustration as the friends stood firm. "No, you cannot resist me," he snarled, reaching out with shadowy tendrils that lashed out towards them. But the trio's resolve only grew stronger. They shouted back at Craig, declaring their identities and their strengths. The shadow shrank, pushed back by the light of their camaraderie and bravery. With a final, furious scream, Craig was pulled back into the void from whence he came, the darkness dissipating like mist in the morning sun. The room brightened, and the three friends collapsed on the floor, panting but victorious. Did we just kill a demon?" John asked, disbelief etched on his face. Cletus chuckled, wiping his brow. "Well, we sure showed him. Now, who's up for some sweet tea?" As they caught their breath, they agreed to never speak of the incident again. They returned to the attic to stash the remaining tapes, vowing to keep the secrets of Craig buried deep within the shadows of that old farmhouse forever. And so, in the quiet of their town, the tale of three friends and an ancient evil faded into legend. A reminder that sometimes the past is best left unexamined.